This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel this evening. And well, let me tell you, camp's on pause today. There's a big storm in Edmonton. It's hot down here in southern Alberta. I'm like, oh, it is just a weird, awful kind of day here as we get geared up. 15 days officially away from August 1st and getting Edmonton Oilers playoff hockey underway. Woo! Let's go. But before that, we've kind of been going through this training camp thing, right? All of a sudden, we're 3 days deep. There's scrimmages. There's stuff going on. There's players looking good. Things are looking awesome. Things are on track. And, well, all of a sudden, yesterday, the name comes up twice between two different guys that cover the Oilers in a big time way, Jason Gregor and Jack Michaels. And you may remember quite a bit of what I kind of read from the OilersNation.com Jason Gregor article about the Oilers scrimmage, kind of got all the details you need to know what happened at camp yesterday. But one thing I kind of glanced over is this section of it, and I want you to read this. This is from the Oilers Training Camp Day 3 article, and right here, point number 6. Ryan McLeod was noticeable again. His speed catches your eye right away, and today he made some really good plays at full speed, including dangling around two defenders, which led him to getting tripped and awarded a penalty shot. Smith stopped him, but I think McLeod will be in Edmonton in the future, no question in his mind. And of course, then he talks about stops on McLeod, and then purely cosmetic observation. That moves from Jujhar Khaira. Point 9. McLeod Marudi Benson line scored the first 2 goals for Team Blue, and Benson had both, including a nifty move to slide it past Smith. They did not look out of place at all. So that's Jason Gregor right there telling you that he's got some high thoughts about Ryan McLeod, the second round pick, 40th overall in the 2018 NHL entry draft, doing some damage here soon in the future in Edmonton. Now, who is Ryan McLeod? We started off with what I had covered yesterday. Let's finish it off with some stats. Ryan McLeod is a left-hand shooting center, 20 years old, 99 birth year, and, well, like I said, 2018 draft, second round, 40th overall. Junior career with the Mississauga Steelheads until he went final year for 31 games over to the Saginaw Spirit last year. Came up to the Bakersfield Condors, played in the playoffs, and then played with the Condors this year in 56 games, tallying 23 points total, 5 goals, 18 assists. With Saginaw, he had 7 goals, 17 assists in 24 points, 31 games. Mississauga, where he was wearing an A, 38 points in 32 games, 70 points in 68 games his draft year with the Steelheads, and then 42 points the year prior with the Steelheads. So I read somewhere, somebody was talking about how the fact that Ryan McLeod had 90 points in, he was an over point per game player in the OHL, so you're saying we've got a future 90-point guy. Wouldn't bet on it. Well, okay, let's get to the Jack Michaels tweet here and kind of break down what Jack Michaels has in store for Ryan McLeod, because this is, right, like I said, this is a two-pronged approach to some prospect hype at training camp, and I mean, we're talking playoffs here, but we're talking some prospect hype out of this whole Black Ace conversation as well. Once again, can't help but notice Ryan McLeod over the first 3 days of camp. I feel he'll be a significant NHL player and produce more at the highest level than in OHL, AHL. My sense is that Oiler veterans recognize this team is as deep as it's been in a long, long time. Take a second to soak that in, alright? We've got a deep prospect pool, which I've done a video on being built by Peter Chiarelli. And then secondarily to that, we've got a player that could be better than he was in the OHL. But I listed his stats, right? His stats, realistically, NHL, OHL comparison, aren't that flashy. What, 63 games and a total of 62 points? That's nothing special in your final year of junior. 70 points, even, you know what, realistically in the top 40 draft class, that's still borderline not crazy special, but still pretty darn good, and that's why you're a 40th overall pick. Now, you know what, Ryan McLeod, how does he fit into all this while left-hand shooting center? If Jack Michaels is as high on him as he is, this would predict out if he's a better player at the NHL level than he was at OHL, AHL level, based on the fact that he's maybe one of those guys that plays better with better players, right? Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl when he's with McDavid, Kazian when he's with McDavid. One of those guys that feeds off good players and really gets that hockey IQ going when they've got somebody that's just as talented or more talented with them. And here's the beauty. Here is the absolute beauty. You go back to that last line from Jack Michaels there. Oiler veterans recognize this team is as deep as it's been in a long, long time. My friends, this is the perfect situation to graduate a prospect that a guy like Jack Michaels feels could be better than he was in junior or at the minor pro level, because we've got those integral pieces, the cornerstones of success, right? A Draisaitl, McDavid, Nuge, those kind of guys. And then, of course, on the back end, you got a Clefbaum, you got a Nurse, you've got now Bear coming up and showing the success of what good coaching and good players in the mix does. And all of a sudden, a good leadership group, too. We've talked about that. And you throw it all together, and that is where you get this mix of, you know what, a guy's got talent, but he can take it to the next level, the top level, because this team has got the talent it needs to allow that to happen. That's the problem we've had over the past 10 years, is not having enough talent at an elite level surrounding the young elite level talented guys, right? Obviously, think about it. Where, I don't know, in 2010 was, I don't know, Jonathan Taves, Patrick Kane kind of guy for a Taylor Hall, right? Didn't have that. That's why we got Taylor Hall. End of the day, no matter who you have on your roster coming up, you need somebody for them to build off of, and especially the mix is that if you have a guy that has the tools, it's not necessarily always going to work out. Taylor Hall, Nail Yakupov, for instance, right? We had the guys that had the tools, but those are two guys, especially because they're wingers. McLeod's the center. He's maybe a little bit of a different mix here. But when you're talking about it, young guys that come in, they need somebody to feed off of, right? Somebody to feed off of and build that confidence in themselves, in the team, and in winning. And now we've got that 100%, no doubt. Why did Kailer Yamamoto succeed this year over last year? Because he's got that ability with what's built in the NHL and through the farm system to rise up and succeed at the NHL level, because now his skill set fits in and feeds off of the skill set of a Draisaitl and an RNH, right? You see the connection is sometimes you need good players to have good players. That's, I guess, the best way to put it, and probably what I've been trying to say for the past 2.5 minutes. And that is not a bad thing. That is an absolute win for an organization. Think of an organization like Pittsburgh, for instance. The guys they've brought up along the way since Crosby's been, probably 24, 25. The guys that have come in and found success at the NHL level because, boom, they've got a guy that they can feed off of in any fashion. And that's the real beauty here of the Oilers having Nuge, Draisaitl, and McDavid up front, is those are three guys with unique but very wide skill sets of what they are able to do great for themselves and what they can do to complement other good players. And Ryan McLeod, he's getting a lot of hype, but end of the day, right, you think about it, Nuge is still here next year, no matter what, and then contract extension, bang, bang. You've got Draisaitl, you've got McDavid for years on end still. There are guys that are going to come up through the system that are highly touted, and just like Yamamoto, barring any freak injuries or anything, they are going to succeed because we have the pieces to succeed. And now think about this. You've got a Ryan McLeod coming up through the system. Guess what? Now, when Ryan McLeod arrives here late next year or into the year after, or even to start next year, depending on what we do moving forward, guess what? You've got a veteran, Kailer Yamamoto, right? Obviously, Yamo's come up. He's gone through a season not called his rookie year, gone up and obviously done what needs to be done at the NHL level, point per game pretty much through his call-up, and then played in the playoffs, right? This team all of a sudden, this whole playoff run, Chicago guaranteed 3 games, guaranteed 4 games in the first round, and you know what? Minimum this Oilers team gets, barring disaster, is the second round, Game 7, just like 2017. That is a lot of added experience for the young guys to feed off of when they start coming up the system. And Ryan McLeod, Tyler Benson, Cooper Marody are the 3 guys that'll do that. But this is a nice, welcome piece of good news to get as an Oilers fan, that Ryan McLeod is kind of, theoretically, stealing the spotlight at training camp, right? At the playoffs training camp, the Oilers media is buzzing about the future of Ryan McLeod based on what he's doing at Oilers training camp against Oilers veterans and Oilers superstars. Straight up, right? Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, superstars. Other players on the other side, Nurse, Clefbaum, superstars in terms of Oilers defense over the past 10 years. So it's getting exciting here now. And you know what? This is one of the best pieces possible of the whole mix, is the fact that in this whole thing, we get a chance to see a young guy really steal some spotlight in a time when there's going to be a lot of spotlight, because, guys, we have not had any hockey spotlight to speak of in terms of on-ice product in 4 months. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. We got a long way to go in the playoffs, and I'd love to have you along. Definitely don't forget to hit that like button and click one of these videos on your way out, and I will catch you in that next video.